Good. Y'all can hear me okay? Yes. Awesome. Monday night, 3 days in, 4 days in for some of you, 2 days in. It's awesome. Thank you guys for all participating. Well, my name is Sachal. I want to tell you a story. It was the Wednesday before last Christmas. I was feeling a little under the weather, or I was coughing. I was really tired, really fatigued. I don't know what it was. My throat was sore. I was kind of the sniffles. Yeah, you know where this is going. I got COVID. It's not funny. No, I didn't know I had it, but that's not the point of the story. I had one last call for the day. I was really tired, feeling all these symptoms, but I really, just wanted to at least take the call because I'd just been promoted to a new role at my company. And I was meeting with one of the managers who had one of the training sessions with us. And I wanted to get some advice on the role. And so we chatted for a bit, I had a really good conversation. And then he asked me a question. He said, "Why are you here?" I was like, to talk to you, get advice, to talk about the role on Zoom. What are you asking? He said, no, you tell me. Why are you here, man? And I was like, oh, it's kind of an odd question. I don't know, I guess. And then I reverted to what I'm usually answering questions like this. My brain hit a switch. Oh, that's what you're asking for. I went to full professional networking mode. I was like, I talking about my interests of data and business and technology, of when I participated in a program in college called UIF, and where I learned with a toolbox and the inspirations to take my interest into action, one of which I launched the first ever TEDx at Menlo College. It's never been done before in history. Yeah, you can get some snaps. Yeah, it's on YouTube. I also led design thinking workshops for Marriott headquarters for one of their segmented brands. And throughout these different parts of my journeys, so I just started going down this list, right, of like things that I accomplished, things I felt I was conditioned to say to show my worth to others. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to stop you right there. I asked you a very simple question. Why are you here?" I'm like, I don't know. I was stuck. I really couldn't give an answer. And I usually had answered things in this way, right? Being able to have these conversations. And frankly, I got away with it to a certain point. But then I really, it bothered me. I really wanted to know. So I, went back home and I was already at home working from home, but you get the idea. To put the laptop down. And, and over the next few months, I started looking at the key moments in my life to help answer this question, why am I here? And so then I thought about Chris. Here's Chris. Chris is full of joy. He made and produced his own music, and he's a big Star Wars and anime fan. And he snaps for that. If we can get some quick, there we go, yeah. There we go. And the best way to describe Chris is he is the definition of unconditional love. Chris was the dude, if we all had only $5 and the $5 went to Chris's name, he would say, "What are we all going to eat?" Wendy's can get you a lot, don't worry. Don't have some doubts. But what I learned the most about Chris was he always had someone's back. And so no matter what it was, or who it was, he was going to get your back. And so there's a story when there was a camp counselor. He was a camp counselor for one of his students, and the students had lost his shoes or something. I think he threw it over something. And he drove 2 hours down a hill to be able to buy that kid a new pair of shoes and drove 2 hours back, right? Always was willing to give back. But there's another story of when Chris had my back. And that was the night of September 7th in 2020. Y'all know what was going on in 2020, so I ain't got to explain it. But my two closest friends, Denzel and Dez, and we were headed to Denver, Colorado for a weekend trip. We wanted to get out. We wanted to have fun. Heard Denver is pretty fun, and so we wanted to go. And so we did. And on that night, we were meeting with two of our other friends, Demetrius and Chris. And they had lived in Colorado at the time. And it was our last night before flying back home to California. And we had a really fun time. One of which we went to a rooftop bar, and you can see this picture right here. That's Demetrius on the left, myself on the right, Denzel in the middle, Dez, and then Chris right over here. This picture pretty much captures that moment that we really had together, really having a just full of joy. And it was a rooftop bar, the AC Hotel. And so throughout this night, Chris was always looking out for me. And at dinner, I was the only one who was drinking a beer. I like beer. The other guys didn't, but he got a beer with me. Okay, and then we went to a hookah lounge, and they weren't really feeling the hookah lounge vibes, and they were waiting outside, and Chris was like, I'll smoke some hookah with you. I was like, okay, thank you. I don't want to be by myself. So I was like, okay, this is good. And we started chatting a little bit. We had a deep conversation at that time. He was telling me about his life. I was talking about mine. We were talking about our families and just life in general. And he had given me some advice. He had said, sometimes you just got to take it one day at a time. And so afterwards, we rode on these little birds lime scooters. I don't know if you guys ever been to downtown around here, but those little scooters you can hop on and ride around the city. And so we did that, and we were basically riding around all throughout downtown Denver like there was no tomorrow. Just living, just breathing, just being. And when we got back to the hotel after midnight, we were having so much fun, we didn't realize that the scooter's batteries died out. And so Chris and I were saying, let's just go back to the hotel. Some of the other guys wanted to get like one last ride just because we were going to fly out tomorrow. We won't be able to see them. It was just want to have a good time, right? So we said, okay, one last ride. I couldn't find a scooter. Chris found one for me, of course, and then got on that scooter. He found another one that we all started riding. And then that's when we went down the street and we took a left on Arapahoe. And Arapahoe is a one-way street, and I was leading the way and Chris was behind me. It was a quiet, late, dark night. And as I was riding, I suddenly heard a car behind me, and it aggressively revved its engine very loudly. But it was only from a distance, so I didn't care too much for it. And then I started hearing loud shouts and screams coming from different directions. And then I heard Chris's voice yell, "Sachal, watch out!" I naturally moved over to the right, and I looked back to see two bright lights. As I looked over, a gray hood of a car. The next 3 seconds, I couldn't tell you what happened. But when I landed and when I stopped spinning, I couldn't breathe. I shot right back up, adrenaline hitting my whole body. So I shot right back up. I couldn't breathe. I grabbed the pickup truck in front of me. It was the closest thing, and I just could not breathe. I was praying. Am I going to die? Is this it? I finally got some airs out of my lungs. And then after I got some airs out of my lungs, then I felt the pain. My leg was pretty fucked up. So I was holding my leg. I was screaming. I was shouting. I was like, what's going on? Did I get hit? Did I mess something up? Did I miss a turn? I was really dazed and I was really confused. And so I sat down. I was holding my leg and I looked over. It was like parts of the scooters that were just all across the street, just like little bits and pieces of the color of the lime scooter. The other scooter was one green, the other one was pink. It was just all over the place. And then I see Dez is on the phone. He's talking to the police, saying, come here. He's giving me directions of where to go. And I'm looking over to the left, and there's people coming from different directions, and I'm still really dazed and confused. And so I don't know how I did it, but I mustered up some courage to hold my leg up, put my leg strength on another one. And then I see Demetrius on the corner, and he is screaming, he's shouting, he's yelling. I looked over to my right, I see Denzel, and his face is just stern, and he's cold. And I'm like, where's Chris? And so I start limping over. I went around the truck, and then from around the truck, that's when I seen Chris. His body lay lifeless on the curb. I went to the ambulance with Chris. The paramedics tried to do the best they could, and we got to the hospital, they separated us. They later told me he died. In the hospital bed, after the nurses and doctors were done treating me, I was alone in a cold room. And then I heard that question, the same question. Why are you here? The months after were the hardest times of my life. The news struck out in the media. 5 friends were struck by a hit and run driver in downtown Denver. 1 fatality, 1 injury. The car was going about 80 miles an hour, and it stopped at a green light, waited for us to turn in, but they could not acknowledge that it was a racially attacked hate crime. This was not just a hit and run. This was a murder on Chris. that others cannot share the love that he wanted to give to others in this world anymore. This was an attack on my 4 black brothers and I, because we simply wanted to live. If you're angry or if you're not, I get it. I understand. I am too. But after many journal entries and videos and long walks staring at the sky, asking God, why am I still here? I still couldn't answer that question. So then I thought to myself, when I was on the hospital bed, what was I thinking about? What really mattered? And there was just a few things that really mattered to me. I thought about Chris, how he saved my life, how he put his body literally in the line for all of us just so we can still be here. And that why was it Chris that's taken and not myself taken? And I thought of Denzel, I thought of Demetrius, I thought of Dez. What could have happened if they got hit? Would they still be here? Is it my fault? Is the police going to aggressively look at them differently while we're in the ambulance and I can't explain it to them? And then I thought about the people that called me. Ooh, snap. Some of them are in this room today. Thank you. Some of them are in this room today. My mom called me. My sisters called me. My brother. And all of them all told me different things, but they all said the same thing at the end. I'm so happy that you're still here. And the one thing that changed the most for me, the hardest part, was the last thing I remembered. And that last thing was, damn, I almost missed that. Give me a sec. I'm getting myself. The reason I share this story with you all today is, let's put this thing down. The reason I share this story with you all today is not to just get a sympathy or empathy session of my life and the things that I experience, but is to really understand that when I was in that moment, I was really just dialed in and focused on what are the things I accomplished in life? What are the practical things? What did I learn in school? What did I develop the skills to take to a different job, to a company? What have I achieved? What are the accomplishments? Not that those things don't matter, but if that was all taken away from you in a second, it can be taken away from you in a second. What is left for you? Who is left for you? Think about that sometime today, next week, whatever you do after this meetup. Think about these things that really matter, because I promise you it's less than a handful. And when you do this in your life, in your journey, really tell yourself what is left. And what is left, that is the reason for why we are here. And for many months, many years, and still now to this time, I still carry that guilt that I should have been taken instead. But I've learned to respect Chris's life, and that he doesn't have that choice to come down and say, not to be here anymore, and that he wants us to still be here. And that's why whatever happened, happened. And so I challenge you all with the question, how might we discover the reason why we are here? Thank you.